What up, YouTube? Jay Riz here. I got a special guest this morning. My boss, my brother, my mentor. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. He is a big part of my story. He was the one that told me I couldn't work at the beginning of my stint here in sober living, and if it wasn't for him, I would have headed out. You know, I made a lot of amends, and he was one of the amends because I had a lot of resentment against him at first. But as I started doing the steps, you know, I learned how to accept a lot of things. And from what this man told me, you know, I accepted that. And a big shout out to him, my boss, my brother. Like I said, without further ado, Justin.
What's up, everybody? My name is Justin. I'm an alcoholic. I have sobriety date 5/17/16. I have a sponsor, and I'm active in my program of recovery.
Awesome. So Justin, I know we met each other, maybe it was 20 years ago. We partied a couple times. I remember when you had your 18 per cap car. That's when I first met you through our brother. But we lost touch. You know, obviously you had your own life, started your own life as being an adult and whatnot. Went to the Army, I believe. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, like other brothers in recovery, I went full circle, went out and did my own thing, came back, and you know, Justin was the director, the lead, you know, of sober living, and you do that to this day. And it was cool to see you because I remember when you see me in the garage, you're like, "Do I know you?" And we were unloading that trailer, and he was like, "Yeah, you remember me?" And I mean, we kind of gained some pounds, aged a little bit, and you know, here we are. And yeah, so Justin, I want to know what happened as a child. You know, what was the I know we all go through childhood trauma, whatnot. We carry it out through our adult lives. You know, I just, you know, the viewers want to know like what happened. You know, what became of this so-called addiction that we carry with us, you know, every day.
Yeah. So my childhood, I came. You know, there was a point in my life where like, if you would have maybe asked me 8 years ago what my childhood was like, I would have told you it was horrible, and it was my story of woe, you know. But my childhood, I definitely didn't have your normal childhood. You know, I had a very strict, very hard father who was a Marine, Vietnam, boarding school. He was the oldest of 13 kids, ranched his whole life. Things had to be a certain way. And then my mom had a very, very loving mom. There was a lot of, I guess for me, if I look back on my life, one thing that I remember is I always felt incomplete. I always felt like, I just remember that as a young child, I was always searching, I was always looking. I could never fill that void. I always felt alone in a group of people. I felt like I didn't belong. I always felt like I wasn't good enough. And really the only time that I ever really found peace was when I was just by myself, you know. I lived in, like, I grew up on a ranch. I grew up around horses and cattle. And so a lot of prairie, a lot of coulees, a lot of valleys to disappear in. And yeah, that was kind of my, there was definitely, I don't want to say my dad was an alcoholic. He definitely had a drinking problem. When he would, but I never saw my dad drunk. Like, he never came home drunk. But definitely the after effects, you know. A lot of arguments with my mom and dad. There were a lot of arguments, you know, children shouldn't see, you know, a lot of stuff I shouldn't have seen. Definitely affected me. I definitely remember being afraid a lot. Definitely gripped by fear as a child. And I think that definitely molded me, molded my early adolescence and the rest of my childhood, for sure.
So when you hear, I kind of can relate. Being alone, being by myself, I felt comfortable. I also was like that too. Like even to this day, kind of like an introvert, like kicking it by myself. But I remember being out in Shaw Creek and stuff, and going into the coulees, just trying to disappear from reality. And it was actually like a comfort zone for myself. And eventually, though, I got like bored. I don't know if it was the same for you, but I found substances. Like we started, breaking into cars, and eventually found, a bag of weed. And what was it like for you when you first found a substance? Was it?
It was glorious, man.
Yeah.
My cousins,
Yeah.
cousin, we we found some weed. The uncle stole some weed from the uncle's stash, and like you said, going out, we'd build forts. So I had a little fort built. I had about 3 strategically placed forts. And we went to one of my forts, and there was a few of us, 3 or 4 cousins, and we were down there, and we had no idea. We had no idea what we're doing, but we knew you rolled it up, and we smoked this joint, and it was like, it doesn't work, it doesn't this and that, and then it was just like that scene from Friday. I remember we just got like super high, and that scene from Friday where I'm in the sink and I'm trying to like wipe the high off, because we had a family get together, so there was a bunch of family, and I just remember being just lit, and but I remember enjoying it, you know what I mean? Like I wanted more of it. Actually, I remember, I'll never forget that. Like it was. I felt ecstatic actually.
Yeah.
It was a feeling. I just felt ecstatic.
Did you like escape reality kind of feeling? Like
it wasn't an escape reality feeling. It was just, I don't know if you ever been so high where you're just like dimension jumping and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like it was something I'd never experienced before, and it was definitely like how they say, like, open your mind. I felt like my mind was open for the first time. And I wanted more of that, you know what I mean? Maybe that is escaping reality. Maybe that's what I enjoyed about it.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah, for me it was like I kind of my stepdad was horrible. He would always have me in check. So when I found a different mindset, like I'd try to chase that. To escape reality. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have to deal with his, putting me in check all the time. He was horrible. But yeah, for me it was like after that I just chased that, whatever, to any lengths, as we say now, to get that next. And then once I found alcohol, it was game over.
It was definitely the precursor. Like at that point in my life, I was about 12 or 13, and my dad had become my, he was the op, you know what I mean? Like he was my. It was bad, our relationship was not good, so that definitely took me into another realm, because I went and looked for people that I knew where I could find more of that. You know what I'm saying? Like something clicked, and I used to have a group of friends that I hung out with. Right, I had a social dynamic, and that social dynamic, I know that didn't exist in there, and as an early addict alcoholic, I knew who to look for. You know what I mean? So I found a whole different group of friends where I knew they were gonna have weed, and it kicked off from there. I think I ran away not long after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean run away? Like you left the house for good, or?
Yeah. I think about 13. I ran away. I don't know what running away looks like on your edge. I just ran to a different family household. But I took off. Me and my dad got in like our last argument. He was done with me, I took off. I lived in a tent at the lake at Four Bears about a month and a half, and then moved into friend's house. It was a broken alcoholic home. Started partying, started smoking weed.
Yeah.
And just found where I could exist, and not be questioned.
Right. Comfort,
bro.
Oh yeah. So you're about 16, 17 around then?
I was 13, 14, 13
Wow.
years old. Yeah, I was 13 or 14. And I'm not saying I ran away, like,
Yeah.
like I could
Like
go
a
home.
nomad.
But I think at that point, my mom and dad, bro, like, looking back, I was not easy.
Yeah.
I was not an easy kid. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Little
Thank
shit
God
kid.
for this program. I was that little, I never wanted to believe it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I can look back and say, like, fuck, I'd have been done with me too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for sure, yeah. Like, I took that little shit kid attitude and took it somewhere where, like, I could be accepted, you know? And
Yeah.
we find our group, you know?
At the time you ran your own show, huh?
Bro, I was running my own show since I was 3 or 4 years old, bro.
Oh yeah.
Honestly.
That's cool. Yeah, so I know you went to the army.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like? Like, what made you go to the army?
So, yeah, high school, like I said, I was running away, dropping in and out of high school, come show up, play some sports for a bit. Came time to graduation, and I was still on paper. I was still a freshman in high school. Wasn't gonna graduate. Got my GED, and I'd always had a fascination with the military. But I was trying to join, and you can't join the army with a GED. So I went to school and got my equivalent, and I was kind of dragging my feet. And I got in an argument with my older brother. Like, all right, let's go. You know what I mean? So I joined the army. I was definitely seeking approval. You know what I mean? Trying to wipe some of those stains away from not graduating high school. And again, that void, you know, like it was ever present in my life, you know? So I thought maybe the army was going to fill that void. It did for a bit, but I just found drinking, alcohol, I found drugs, every drug. There was definitely drugs were not on the table. Some were like hard nosed, you know, but yeah, I was such a square when I got there. I got my wisdom teeth pulled and they gave me some Percocets. And I didn't know what they were. And I put them in my wall locker. They're like to keep, you know, like they made me sleepy.
Yeah.
And I had this girl who I'd been with for a little while, and I remember digging my wall locker. She came out and she's like freaking out. You have these? And I was like, yeah. And put them on the table, broke them up, did some lines. She's like, do this, and me. You know what I mean? And I'll say that definitely arrived. You know what I mean? Like, arrived. Yeah. Right. I was there. Alcohol definitely there. But at this point, and I'll just backtrack. At this point, I'm starting to experience consequences from alcohol. Right? I'm a high speed. I'm a good soldier. I look the part. I dress the part. You know, like we usually do. And I could say all the right things. So I was kind of climbing up in the army, the whole thing, and but shoot myself in the foot with some kind of alcohol related consequence. You know what I mean? I started missing formation. We had a new commander come in, and I'm the baby of the unit. Let's send our best guy to go jump with our commander and get blank and miss the airborne. You miss formation, that's one thing. You miss an airborne op, like that's next level. Wow, yeah. You miss an airborne op with the new commander. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's like, but I was such a sweet talker, and they loved me. They just covered it up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I kept getting away with shit. So that's where the pills kind of came in, because I could snort some pills, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to blank out. Yeah. You know what I mean? So at this point in my addiction, I could kind of like cross, you know what I mean? Yeah. I had a little bit of control. You know, this alcohol touched my lips though. Like I'm going to get blank, but I could stop. Yeah. You know what I mean? I could stop the next day and wake up and pick up a bottle. Yeah. With pills, it took off. And I was in the airborne unit, there's a lot of injuries, so I kind of knew where to go and dig around. It progressed so fast. I was I had a buddy rip all his muscles from his shoulder all the way down to his wrist. Yeah. Right? And he needs his pills. I stole all his pills. You know what I mean? It's just quick. Wow. So that's what I got from the army, bro. Yeah. And I got every warning in the book. First time anyone told me, you gotta stop. They sent me to. The first time I ever heard of IOP, right? Mm-hmm. They sent me to intensive outpatient. They're like, Baker's your last chance. This is post-deployment. I'd been over in Afghanistan, got back, and just boozing hard. And they're like, you drink again. If you get anything, you're done. We're gonna send you to this treatment program, and I remember sitting in there, and I'm dressed nice. I got the fade, I got the high shine boots, and I'm sitting with a bunch of other guys, and they got dirty camo, no haircuts. I'm like, why am I in here with you guys?
Yeah.
And I remember the lady saying, "You can never drink again."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when I drink, I'm me.
Right.
Like you're gonna get the best version of me when I drink.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you need me to drink. You know, that's where my thought was. So I got a solution to all my problems while I was in the Army, and I also got told that my solution, for the first time, I remember that your solution is kind of killing you, but it never dawned on me. You know what I mean?
You don't want to hear it. Huh?
Didn't want to hear it. So I tried cocaine for a bit, you know, stay away from the alcohol, and I popped dirty for a UA, and they sent me packing, sent me back to the res.
Okay. So when you got back to the res, what did you do?
Meth.
Just switched, huh?
Yeah, my brother and my best friend picked me up at the bus. My life was over. I thought I was under the impression I was getting a less than honorable discharge.
Yeah.
You know, I threw all my shit away, and I got on the bus. I came home, and I remember my brother, my older brother, and my best friend at the bus stop. They picked me up. They had a bottle of peppermint schnapps, and they had meth. I had never done meth. Like, okay, I'm gonna make an amends here. I did do meth one time, but I came to doing meth. And I didn't really know what it was. Yeah. You know what I mean? But this was the first time meth was put in front of me, and I knowingly did it. And so I went on a meth fuel, alcohol, living in squalor for quite a while from there, you know?
Years, huh?
Years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I really wasn't into meth myself. I mean, I actually did it and stuff. I, got shot up for the first time. I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
It wasn't my thing, man.
Shit.
Yeah, like, my thing was just booze.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
And it was definitely booze. Like, I'll say that. Like, that first, like, it was, like, meth was an accessory, pills were an accessory, but alcohol definitely came first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For those 3, I think it might have been like 3 years we lived. I mean, when I say I lived in squalor, brother, I lived in a trailer that sometimes had water, it never had food. It probably had an inch of dirt. There was like 6 couches in there, and everyone smelled like piss. You know what I mean? Like, I had 1 change of clothes.
Yeah.
It might have worked. Mom and dad were giving me 20 here, 20 there, shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was drink, get up, drink, go to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Drink. And like I said, if you had meth, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say no.
Right.
But yeah.
So what was the turning point? I'm pretty sure that burned you out real quick, huh? Maybe years down the road. Was there a turning point where you're like, man, I gotta give this shit up?
It was definitely a progression. Like, there was a progression, and that all progressed. The point where I had to turn it all around, there was a point in my life where I'm putting a needle in my arm, and I was drunk or high for 2 years straight. I was homeless. My wife had left me, and I was back home on the res. I'm 35, maybe 34 years old, and I had a moment of clarity. My wife said, if you're ready to get sober, give me a call, and we're gonna get you into, get you somewhere, get you some help. And I would like to say, like, it was, and my moment of clarity wasn't like virtuous.
Yeah.
It was like, you're meant for better, or you're meant for this, or it was purely like, I was like, shit, man, I think she might actually leave me this time, so I'm gonna go to treatment, run some game on her, get her back, fill her with hope, and then, we'll revisit the sobriety thing then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it started with a plane ride, and it wasn't as glamorous, it wasn't a burning bush experience. It was just one more chance to manipulate my wife and my family and get some credibility back, and then I'll go on another run, you know what I mean?
So you also had that reservation in the back?
I did. In the beginning, I would say that reservation was It lasted for 2 weeks, maybe a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You went right back to it. Balls to the wall. As soon as you started using gin? Or
No, I stayed sober.
Oh,
I say I had a reservation, right? I didn't think this was gonna fucking stick.
Yeah.
Right? Get me into Passages Malibu, babe.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, and I'm gonna get her back. I'm gonna get the debit card back.
Yeah,
you know,
there you go.
and I'm gonna get back out there. And it just something, you know, like, and I could tell you, it wasn't Passages Malibu. You know, it was a sober living. Shout out Puente House, Covina, California. I got dropped off at this old busted ass house in the ghetto, and it was exactly what I needed. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Is that where you found the program?
That's where I found the program.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't find it right away. You know, I tried everything but Alcoholics Anonymous, because I'll never forget. You know, that, like I said, that lady told me you can never drink again, and you know, I just couldn't wrap my head around that. So I would go to HA, right? Because at this point I'm shooting heroin. I'd go to Narcotics Anonymous because I'm shooting meth and narcotics and but I just remember sitting in a meeting, like in sober living, they have mandatory meetings that you have to go to, and I was sitting in a meeting, and a guy in the program was doing what's required, and he was doing a book study, and I just remember him saying there's a solution, you know. And it just, you know, looking back, at the moment I didn't know how to spiritual experience, but looking back, it was definitely a spiritual experience. Because you know, it was the first time that I heard there's a solution. Like, I'm gripped by fear, right? I can't look in the mirror, right? My step one at this point was solid. You know, I had a good sponsor. He explained the allergy, right? He explained the phenomenon of craving and the obsession. Like, I understood it, right? He drove that home, but now what, right? Now what? And listening to this guy, I can't say his name, but a lot of people know him in the sober community, sober living community especially. He just, you know, and when he told me there was a solution, that require, you know, and there's some requirements to it, I was like, I'm on board. And he's talking about this, you know, this rocketed into the fourth dimension, you know, this all, you know, page 25 in the big book, right? And it grabbed me, you know, and I wanted some of that, you know.
Yeah. And then from that point on, did you like just keep pursuing the recovery lifestyle?
Yeah, like, you know, the ebbs and flows, you know. I got kicked out of sober living probably a few weeks later. But what I'll say is, you know, I wanted it. And like you, definitely. I actually, you know, let me re-answer that. Yes, because when I got kicked out of sober living, I remember sobbing. I remember bawling my eyes out. Like, I know I can't go home, you know what I mean? Like, when I got there, I was like, I'll do 30. It was bad. Yes, I was shooting heroin. Yes, I was homeless. All right, we'll do 60 days in sober living. Okay, babe? You know, and then we can pick up where we left off. At this point, I knew, you know, that you know, and the problem, like, I can't go out there. And I remember bawling, and my wife, love her, fucking God bless her, you know, she was like, we'll figure it out. And I got into another sober living after that. And I did, right? I did seek it. Did I seek it to the fullest of my ability? No, I didn't. And, you know, definitely made progress, but there was all kinds of half measures. But like, whoever said half measures availed us nothing, half measures, I'm still here today. I still took that, I made that attempt, you know what I mean? And I'm not knocking on Bill, I'm just saying half measures in the beginning saved my life. You know?
I understand that. To the fullest. So from that point on, you discharged from sober living, right?
So I did. What I did was I stayed in a program for about 8 months, maybe 9. I was still married. At this point, I'm in San Diego, California. Shout out Carl Culver. He's he's my brother. Still, they came to visit last. He was my case manager. And what was cool about him was he was in the program, so he wouldn't, you know, he definitely You know, he wore his professional hat. You know, I never got to see the bro hat. Like he was very boundaries, very ethically solid guy. But then every once in a while he put on his AA hat. But we had an experience there. It was the first time I heard the actor scenario.
Okay.
Right. I'm in sober living again. I feel like I'm about to get kicked out. Right. I'm in a corner.
Yeah.
And everyone in the house hates me. And he comes in that morning and he starts reading the actor scenario in the big book. And I was like, this fucker put me on blast in front of everyone. You know what I mean? Like this guy, I thought we were tight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, as we progress in the program, that's like my foundation. Like, you know, that third step. But he talked me off the ledge one time, so I was about to leave. I was ready to go, right? My mom had cancer, had some serious family issues going on. My daughter was in and out, running away. My dad was sick, and he was like all these reasons to go home. And I'm talking to Carl, and I'm like, bro, I had to go home, you know, like I have to go home. And he was like, you know, you believe, right? You believe in something bigger than yourself, right? Like, and I was like, yeah. And he's like, nah, he has a plan, you know? And I was like, yeah, I do. And they said, well, this is part of the plan. You're here, you know what I mean? And that stuck with me, right? Like, I'm on God's path. I'm on my higher powers path, right? My mom's on her higher powers path, like, and I'm not gonna go home and play God and you know what I mean? I got my path right now is I can barely stay in sober living. I'm gonna go home and save the world, you know? And it was just another spiritual experience that I had looking back, and so I stayed there as long as I could, right? I had to do work with my wife, right? We had years of just a whole relationship, whole marriage based on lies, and that I had hurt my wife for years. We had work to do, right? Yeah. So we put in that work. My wife was, we were doing marriage counseling. I was working on my program. I was just trying to put my family back together and put myself back together and establish this relationship with a higher power at that time. But about 9 months I did, I had an opportunity, about 9-10 months to go home. I went home for a couple months. I stayed sober and got to do some cool stuff back home and moved to Phoenix. And then that's kind of where the story really takes off, you know what I mean? My uncle Jared Baker was living down there. There was MHA recovery as a whole was in infancy. I think it was not even in infancy. I think it was still in the sack. You know what I mean? Like there was no idea, but Jared knew that there was a problem back home, and he was trying to tackle it one man all by himself. And there I was, you know, just got my daughter back. She was 13 at the time, and my wife and I took my daughter when we moved down to Phoenix. He had a nice guest house, and we lived there for a bit and tried my best to help him out in what he was doing, you know. Yeah.
So from that point on, you basically just stayed with MHA Sober Living?
So yeah, it wasn't at the time. It wasn't even sober living. Like it was like MHA. I mean, we couldn't even call it that. We worked for the chairman, and the chairman had a bunch of people back home that wanted help, and there was no help. And so Jared started getting people into whatever treatment program he could. Well, I had just come out of sober living, but I'm still helping him. I'm trying to get a job too, right? I'm not even working. And I remember asking him for a job. I was like, give me a job, uncle. You know, he's like, get some sobriety and some credibility, and then we'll, you know what I mean? So I'm a volunteer. I'm a volunteer for Jared for like 6-8 months, you know what I mean? And I'm driving all over Phoenix. And about 6 months in, 8 months in, my wife and I finally got our own place and my daughter. And I'm going to see some guys at a sober living, me and Jared, right? And I have this money idea. It has nothing to do with being selfless, but I'm like, bro, we could start a sober living and we charge $1,500 a month. I'm gonna make some money off of this, you know what I mean? And we're dealing with these guys at sober living, and they're getting overcharged. And so Jared with the high sign of Chairman Mark Fox and council, said go ahead and start a sober living, and so we started a sober living. It was myself, Scott Baker, and Big Man Old Rock. We started this. Well, Big Man at the time was he was there, definitely the cornerstone, and Scott, but it was more just to put him in the house, and then I would oversee it. You know what I mean? But we worked together, and we built it together. I remember we were sitting in meetings, and this is what it's gonna look like, and we had all these ideas. And then Jarrett, he knew Judith Roberts, and so he called Judith, and Judith came down to Phoenix, and she did about a 3-day, 4-day sober living workshop for us to establish a sober living.
Hence that picture downstairs, huh?
Yeah,
you guys are all around the table.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So from that point on, like, what is the MHA sober living in your life today? Like, what do you do for MHA sober living?
I'm my title is I'm the program supervisor. I oversee the female assistant supervisor, and I oversee the male sober living assistant supervisor. And then I also see we have a case management program. I oversee our case management program. I oversee sober living as a whole, but I don't want to be that kind of a leader where I want them to be the leaders. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So technically I oversee 3 people. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then they branch off and oversee that people. But we're trying to. Our mission. We're trying to uphold our mission, which is just provide a safe and sober environment so that our MHA members can seek recovery. You know what I mean? Through our ways, whatever way they see.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I understand.
And we have a vision. We have a vision statement. I'm just trying to keep our program on task. You know, and make sure that it's happening and we're doing it and we're evolving. We've had so much to learn. You remember when you came here 2 years ago, there was 2 houses?
Yeah.
Was it 2?
There was actually 3. 3 houses.
Right?
Yeah.
Now we have 10.
10 houses.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's growing.
So it's been wild trying to keep it on track.
Yeah. So from today, what keeps you sober?
The program. Like you mentioned earlier, when you got into sober living and you wanted to seek, you wanted to get employment, you wanted to get some money in your pocket. I like in the big book how it says they continually repeat, they've tried it or they've done it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was 80 some years ago, in the 40s, right?
Right.
I like to live by that same principle.
Yeah.
Which is, anything I put before my recovery, I'm gonna lose.
Right.
You know what I mean? No matter how glamorous life gets, how good life gets, and I live a good life. Like I live a good life, but it's my program that keeps it all together.
Oh yeah.
Right. It's the things that my program tells me I need to do, and I've definitely gotten off the beam in my life, and it's because I'm trying to do my thing. So it's the same thing that I preach to the guys and girls in sober living I'm doing. I have a busy day.
Yeah.
A busy week.
Yeah.
Just staying active in it. Definitely. Like I said, I have a checklist. I have to make that checklist. There's a checklist in the morning, right? There's a checklist throughout the day. There's a checklist in the evening, and I might have a commitment or something. Then I have a spiritual life, and like I said, I have a family. So I'm trying to it's not like this. I'm not going like this. There's definitely a balance to it. I have a 3-year-old son, and I have a 1-year-old grandson.
Nice. Yeah.
So it's a beautiful life. It really is a beautiful life, and I try and explain that to everyone. Like, you got to put the work in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not putting the work in doesn't mean I gotta get a 40-hour-a-week job You know, because we've all tried that, right? We're beyond human aid. I'm not money, nothing. I've tried it all. I've made millions of dollars and still putting a needle in the arm.
Yeah.
Or picking up a bottle.
Oh, yeah. Well, Justin, you saying you're a busy man. We'll conclude from there. And, you know, I really appreciate you coming on, bro. You know, it's been a long time coming. Like when I first started this channel, I wanted to get all my peers that I look up to, and you are one of the peers. You know, like I said, you're a big part of my story.
Mm-hmm.
You're the reason why I'm still here. I would have split a long time ago, but I was like, man, this guy's actually doing something good. Maybe I can do something good.
Yeah, and that's what it is, man. Like, I get asked all the time, come do this, come get on this, or do it. You know, I don't do that. Like, I'm not a that kind of guy.
Yeah.
You're doing such an amazing job. You've done so much for the bros downstairs and for the house and for MHA Sober Living as a whole. Your life, your representation. You know what I mean? I'll definitely get on the bros show and
thank you
and share my experience because man, you're a powerful story, bro.
Cool. Thank you.
Love you, bro.
All right, bro. Love you too. And with that, we will conclude. Thanks you guys for watching. If you like what you see, hit that like. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe. And we love you guys. Any closing words for YouTube out there?
Yeah. If you are on the fence about recovery, you are from MHA Nation. We're trying to open it up to try and get to more people, but you know our populace is so big, and you're looking for help. Reach out. Jay Riz definitely can help. Go to a meeting. We have a hotline, 701-421-8869. If you have a loved one and you're unsure, like, what do I do with this person? I'm available. Call the hotline and get some feedback and some information, and we'll do our best to help.
Oh, yeah. All right, YouTube. Thank you for watching. We love you guys. And with that, we will see you later.